a wealth of knowledge, and it always and your show is fantastic. I love. I'm trying to keep up with all you're saying.
And 27 fans.
27. You got
27 you didn't have before, buddy.
That's very true.
They are very devoted.
You get fan mail. You get I come in the studio. I mean, they get you. There's so much fan mail.
I just leave it strategically there so you can see it.
Oh man!
I get hate mail. You know that I get hate mail.
I wonder why. I wonder why. And I bet I know from what constituencies that you may get that hate mail.
Why?
You're a outspoken individual, and God bless you for it. We have many conversations about this.
We have.
Put your freaking head on a swivel. That's all I'm saying, man. It's crazy out there.
I love you.
I love you too, buddy.
Hey, let me ask you. You know very well a victor of a recall, former governor Arnold, and he had mentioned to CNN recently, the atmosphere is kind of the same as 2003. Recalls are really dicey, right? They're not. You can't just pin them down.
Right. You have to earn a recall. If you're sitting in office, I mean, you really.
That's a good point. Yeah.
People are kind of poo-pooing this. You hear Obama, you hear Biden, and those folks just saying this is simply a Trumpster Republican-led recall, and they know that's not true. They're just pandering. Looking at their strategy when they put out all the big guns and trying to belittle Larry Elder and prop up Governor Newsom is the best thing since sliced bread. They know the situation the state's in. And the difference is, and I think Arnold was speaking to it, is as much as we love Larry Elder, and I think Larry Elder would be a fine governor, tonight, anything could happen. This whole thing's defied the odds from the beginning.
Yeah.
To even get on the ballot, so why not keep it going tonight?
Yeah.
But, with Arnold's situation, you didn't have the big guns show up because they were afraid of Arnold. Arnold had put money in a lot of people's coffers, given a lot of money to a lot of NGOs and nonprofits, both Democrat and Republican. A smart man.
That is the smart strategy.
Yeah. So if they didn't come outright and support him, they shut up. And so you had that kind of big presence on the ballot there that got into the thing. And I'll tell you a little story. A lot of people don't know it's going to be in my book. But Arnold come to visit me on his campaign, came through Fresno, wanted to meet me at the mayor's office. He came in there, and we had a nice conversation.
For the recall, or
this was this was
regular
prior. Just he was wanting to talk about his after school.
Gotcha.
And the talk of how the recall may come along. Gray Davis was really in trouble then, but he had not yet studied when we had a talk, and he didn't mention anything about it. And I said to him on the way out, I said, "Can I talk to you a little bit?" Here alone. So he's got his security people, and he goes, "Yeah, sure, yeah." Going in security people like, "What are you going to do to him in there?" I go, "Look, I'm calling Schwartz. What am I going to do to him?" He squashed me like a grape inside my office. So, but we get in there, and I told him, I said, "Are you going to run? I hope you run, because if you don't, I may run because something's got to happen here." Yeah, I'll never forget the look in his eye. He says, I'm thinking about it. I'll let you know. And a few weeks later, the phone rang, and he said, I'm in. And he, so a little different. Well, I think there's a lot of dynamics different in this one. But I think Larry's got a chance. In any way you look at it, it's already, don't you think, Guillermo and Matt and listeners, it's a pretty much of a seismic event anyway.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, hopefully, at the very least, if this recall doesn't happen, and we certainly hope it does, but if it doesn't happen, hopefully it's going to wake up this governor and his constituency that you got to do some things different. You can't put yourself in the back pocket of the teachers union and environmental extremists and just twiddle your thumbs and not hold PG&E accountable while people die because of these forest fires. You got to get off your butt and get people out of zip code prison in the education world, because that's where our public schools, our kids are. They're in zip code prison.
Amen. Yeah,
so,
I've never.
Anyway.
Well, that's interesting, and we were chatting about this in the second hour of the show, our coverage here, and we had said Democrats, if they squeak by or if they win, they're not going to change their ways. I don't think it'll wake them up, because they're just kind of, they're going to stay on message, they're going to stay on course. They want to fundamentally change this country. And I don't think they'll be scared by a recall. Matt?
Yeah, no, I think in terms of the recall, like in such a large event here in the state, and I knew you just talked about the teachers unions and all the funding, and they spent $36 million in August alone. $36 million in TV ads are pulling all the stops. And I think it kind of gives me a little bit of hope, but I don't know. You guys have probably seen the Barack Obama ads that we've seen for the past 2 weeks. The amount of money that have been poured into that. Elizabeth Warren coming out to California. Joe Biden was in Long Beach last night. So, and I think he's still here if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, it's just they pulled out all the big guns, and I think we put in enough fear. But the thing is, that was the one thing from the start with the recalls. They're going to be able to fundraise money, be able to pull money continuously throughout this whole process. And I think it was great. I think Elder would make a great governor. But also we got to think about is, man, Elder came into the race, and all of a sudden that also awakens not only Republicans, but it also awakens the Democrats as well, because now they're like, oh, now we have an enemy, we have a target. But before there was a lot of people in the race, we didn't know. We were talking who's going to be the front runner. Elder hops in, so it awakens both sides. And I'm hoping that we have some people that are enough pissed off about what the governor's done to actually turn this thing around. So.
You know what we forget, though, in this state, Matt, Guillermo, is that as Democratic dominated as it is, there are more independents in this state than there are Democrats and Republicans.
Yep.
And I think the clearer thinking Democrats, what we used to know as a Democrat, and I would even throw the liberals, the classic liberal, into this category. They've seen what this governor's done, and they've seen the hypocrisy of him having lunch at the French Laundry while he doesn't allow anybody else to get together with their friends, doesn't let kids go back to school. His kids are in private school. I mean, all that stuff is, I think, awareness and truth is the far left's worst enemy. And one thing that this COVID has done in terms of the death grip that the teachers union, and I always say teachers union, the leadership, because I'm a member of 2 unions. And you try to kill my union, I'll fight you to my dying day. I have Screen Actors Guilds. And a lot of teachers feel this way. But most teachers know that the leadership gets out of step with the rank and file many times. And we've gotten a look into some of these teaching ideologies that I don't think shared by most of the teachers, but there's enough in there to just ruin things for kids and families. And this has given this distance learning when your kid's in your living room and you're listening to how this teacher is teaching or not teaching, and leaving you're seeing the sausage being made that you've never seen before.
Yep.
And I don't think the teachers union leadership, the power that they had, I don't think they come out of this recall with the same enormous power that they had before. I think they've been significantly wounded, and you no longer, to the point where if you play your cards right politically and you're able to articulate it, they could wind up being a liability to you. So whatever happens tonight, we hope for elder victory. But if not, they better watch 2022.
Yep. And I think you make a good point on terms of the education is we've wakened the belly of the beast. I think parents are starting to see, like you said, we had a great opportunity to see, this is what my kids are learning. What in the world are they learning? And they're like, what? This is so graphic. And this is like first, second, third grade. And I know some parents right now, they're at a school meeting out in Salinas, battling the stuff that's equity and ethnic studies and all the gender studies and all that that's being taught. But I think that's a good point is we kind of exposed this last year. People were at home and it was right at home. You could see it and listen to it in live time.
And listen, I don't want to throw in the towel. We're not
throwing in the towel.
No. But what I'm about to say, I don't want to throw in the towel here. But I do want to say that, this recall has allowed conservatives to realize their power. We honestly, this recall is all about timing. Politics is all about timing. This recall would have been held a month and a half ago. I mean, it was 46, 45. I mean, it's all about timing. I don't want conservatives to get disheartened. That's politics. And, you move on and you live to fight another day. The Democrats have been scared. They're scared so much that they're going to change the whole process. They don't want to do this again. They learned their lesson. They didn't learn their lesson in 2003. They're going to change the process, but I don't want conservatives to be disheartened if we don't come out with a win.
Let me ask you this: just taking politics, our own biases out of it, just being purely analytical politically. Do you, number one, if you're having a recall, number one, you got enough signatures to do that?
Yeah.
That makes a statement to the left in the state. Okay. Okay, you absorb that hit. Say, okay, Republican-led, let's get at it. But now it's the night of reckoning. And in my estimation, anything less than a 5-point victory, if the governor happens to pull this out, if you get less than 5, if it's 2, 3, 4, that to me it says something about this electorate, because you've got a lot of these young people that have been watching this, these young voters that the left has taken for granted because they've been educated in the California universities, and they think it's business as usual, and it's not. You know, the abortion issue that comes up here, people, oh, Joe Biden's on that like a starving dog in a meat house. Well, it's been 48 years since Roe versus Wade. We know more about ultrasounds. There's been pictures of the babies in the womb. There's been a lot more science as to when, and you know, it's you can win tonight if you win it flat out. Hallelujah. Because we got the guy in there, I feel, and I know Guillermo, Matt, and listeners, most of you listening here probably feel, I think Larry Elder, job is not too big for him. He's very secure in who he is. He knows what he wants to do. And as he told me personally, he goes, listen, I speak Democrat. He goes, I'm not going to go out there and alienate people or bring people in. But if it's less than 5 points, I think that makes a big difference. The state could be changing.
You think he's going to run again? He does.
He told me he was.
No matter
about Larry?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. He told me he was.
So essentially, it's hey, get ready. I mean, and the election will start again essentially in 2 months, November, December. He's out. He's back on the campaign trail.
And you got to look at it's all in Newsom's corner. Then what are you going to fix? And do you have?
That is very true. It goes back to what you said: is do you fall asleep at the wheel the rest of the term? No, you can't.
It's in your court.
And do you have the skill set to do it? Can you bring people together? And well, Guillermo, we talked about this when it happened. The day after it happened, we were here in the studio, and knowing, having a feel of human nature. We hope we all have that. Except you, Matt. You're a young guy.
I still got a lot to learn.
You got a lot to learn. Little grasshopper, when you can take the stones from my hand.
I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to deny it. Yeah.
No, you know a lot, young man. But what was my point? I was making a point. We were talking about age here.
No, it was essentially look. He's going to come. He's going to come back. And Gavin Newsom has a short window.
When we were talking about with Newsom, the point I was going to make was that knowing human nature, that picture at the French Laundry, that sticks to you. Some stuff doesn't stick politically, but that is so demeaning to the average Californian, to just the normal person, this elitism that was illustrated. He's sitting there right after saying, you can't get together with your friends and family. It's dangerous. And he's sitting there, no masks. One of the most expensive restaurants in the country, from what I understand.
Most people didn't even know about it.
That exclusive. Exactly.
Exclusive,
Guillermo knew. He scoots up there.
I honestly thought it was like a place to do laundry. Like they press well. I was like, hey, there's a French way to do laundry. They do everything different over there. Who knows?
But I don't think you ever recover completely from that. You would have to do a mea culpa and a John Cena apology like he did to China. You'd have to, and he didn't do it. He says, I'm sorry. Yeah, bad decision.
Yep, we have a lot of people rooting on from all over the country. North Florida, Kevin, here we go from Kentucky. They're rooting us on. They're rooting for us. They're in the house or watching the coverage.
All right.
Yeah, all eyes here on California tonight. So this is some good stuff here.
Let me ask you guys, and people, they're always saying, so goes California, so goes the country. What's your take on it? Give me a little honesty. You believe that?
100%. And I've been saying it now for about 3 weeks. Gavin Newsom wins, he becomes the most powerful Democrat in the country. He is. He's going to be the golden boy. I heard him talk yesterday. I mean, he had kind of a swag.
He took the body shots. He took the beat.
He did,
and he rises like a phoenix.
Yep. I'm in charge. Who do the Democrats have? They got no bench. He is the guy. He will be the new star. He's going to be the shiny star.
Yeah, Cory Bush.
Who?
The gal from... And Chuck Schumer.
Oh gosh!
What are you talking about?
No.
George Blanda of politics.
They got a bench. They got a bench. No, they got a bench, but it's not. They're not electable.
I'm with you 100%. I know where you're going with this.
So no,
you're right.
He does. And if Larry Elder wins, well, as goes California, goes the nation. Larry Elder will be. I mean, come on. He took out 15 years. We haven't won a statewide elected office. 15 years. We're going to give people hope. I mean, if we could do it here, man, we could do it in every state. It doesn't matter if voter registration is upside down by like 30 points. California did it. Those California Republicans did it. We're going to inspire the whole country.
Yeah, but I think if we get a Larry Elder win, we have a miracle. I know we were talking before we got on the air about that, a miracle, right? And I think we can start to shift the way California politics are done, and he can come in. We got a year to really work and take the momentum with it. But I also like the point that Alan made about, hey, if this doesn't go through, he's got to be on defense for the next few months in terms of going into the start of the next year's election. So
yeah, there was back in the day. They had a convention back when Ronald Reagan was running for president, and they nominated Gerald Ford at the convention. And anybody that was there at that convention said after that was announced, they had made their votes the traditional way. You could feel it on the convention floor that there was remorse. They had chosen the wrong guy. Reagan, which is like Reagan was, defeated, bitter defeat, walks out, gives the introduction for Gerald Ford. He's gonna be a good Republican. He's gonna be loyal. And but you talk to a lot of folks that were there. They were shaking their heads, going, "We did it." That could happen here. There could be that same deal among, and you know what we're talking to. We're talking to common sense Democrats and independents. They're going to be the ones that brings the state back, not your hardcore left, Guillermo, because you're 100% correct in my estimation. They say that somebody would kill for Trump or whatever. I remember what was going on. They would murder would whatever Trump. You've got this far left constituency in the state, and more per square inch here than here in New York, than place out. But they're all around the country. That you're not going to convince them. But I don't believe there's enough of them. You've had these Democrats that are saying, that conservative Democrats and some moderate Republicans that bought into the never Trump deal, and they're kind of reconsidering that. They're wishing they hadn't done that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know that.
Oh,
you're feeling you can.
Oh, yeah.
You talk to them.
Yeah.
They're going, dang, they got Biden. Okay, he's a centrist. I tell people, go do some research on this guy. He has never, ever, ever. Young Joe Biden. I know it's hard to picture that, a young Joe Biden. Like it's hard to picture a young Alan Autry. But you go that. He's always been way, way to the left. The only time he stepped out was to do that crime bill with Clinton because his seat was in jeopardy. Crime was so out of control, he had to.
Yeah.
And then, so, you see what he's done to the country. He hasn't done one thing right. And people are saying, Trump's not looking at that. So that could play into it as well,
That's a good point. All right. Well, Alan Autry in studio here with us. Jim Franklin is
Is Jimmy here?
He's here.
Pastor Jim Franklin is going to be joining us in the net. We need prayer.
Did you bring that hat? I got a couple bucks put in there.
I love it. Jim Franklin joining us here. You hear him every day here on the station, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m., bringing you the right side of the left coast. He's going to be joining Alan Autry and I as we continue our coverage. You got 35 more minutes to get to the polls. Get to the voting center. Now, they're voting centers. I apologize. Get to the voting center. You know what to do. Take your friend. Take everybody. Just whoever you see, grab them.
There you go.
There you go. As long as they look safe, put them in the car and just take them down to the voting
center.
I'm with you. We'll be right back here on the Best Talk at Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
It was made for grown-ups. Listen, I've played a football player named Andy with a cast on his leg and a pretty nurse.
Yeah.
What's that?
Are we gonna pull up some Alan Autry hits with the Hubba Bubba? Right.
Oh.
Do we
Hey,
have
that's
that for the
actually
next-
me singing that.
No, I know.
No, sincerely.
Yeah.
People don't think that was me singing. I had a good throat day.
Here, we're gonna have to pull
I
that
got
in.
some-
You know.
we are.
Yeah.
Jimmy,
We
your
are.
way. Mr. Frank, coming your way.
Guillermo, do you want me to move for?
Oh, yeah. If you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure. No, we got to get it.
I got it.
And then
for
we'll
you.
rotate.
Yeah,
I
for
know
sure.
you.
Hey, cousin Alan Autry, Sarah Swafford.
Oh, Sarah,
With the comments.
how you doing?
Man, I've never heard of this taco face.
Not bad stuff.
It's really good.
Yeah, no, that was good. Kind of get a little more comfortable.
It was
talking
great.
to you. Yeah.
Your business. The United States Postal Service is changing with it. We're bringing you fast, reliable shipping. We're bringing it where customers need it. New routes. USPS.com/routes. United States Postal Service. Priority.
One of the first things people experience about your business parking lot. Large potholes. As a customer, let me highly recommend Steel. They've become a combination of 100 different companies from Fresno. The number of customers that have still right bells on their customers' project. Asphalt, concrete, grading experts, designing parking lots, backstop. They laid concrete on the coast, Sacramento, and Bakersfield. Now is the perfect time to start that project. Give Seal Right Paving a call, 559-222-7325. Visit their website, rightpaving.com. 222-325. Glad you did. So will your customer.
This is an American Red Cross blood donation alert. The Red Cross is facing a severe blood shortage and is urging available donors of all types to give now and help avoid delays in life-saving medical care for patients this summer. More donations are needed to replenish the blood supply and help address the extraordinary blood needs of hospitals and patients right now. Be a hero to a patient in need. Use the Blood Donor app. Visit redcrossblood.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS to make an appointment to help save lives.
Want the inside scoop on an area? Locals always know. Want an inside advantage in your job search? Then you rely on the staffing local. We're Sirion, a 65-year workforce leader with a distinct focus. Just last year, we helped 160,000 individuals find exciting careers. I'm Glenna Gates, and my team knows the Central Valley area well. More than a business, this is our home, and we have connections to the area's most respected companies. Gain a local career advantage and call Sirion 559-251-4040 or visit us on the web at Sirion.com.
Do you believe that kids today need a caring adult in their lives? Hi, this is Ed Kasmerick with Madera Youth. We believe kids need more than that. It takes at least 7.
Hey, I'll play the music and everything.
A coach, a pastor, a YFC mentor to help kids along the difficult journey of being a teenager. Life can be overwhelming. Youth for Christ team serves at over 30 ministry sites across Fresno and Madera County, bringing the good news of Christ. Support Youth for Christ. Visit yfcnow.org today.
Well, 31 minutes to be exact, because we are exact. We're conservatives. We every decimal point, every number matters. Alan Autry joining us. Alan Autry, no retreat.
Hey, don't retreat.
No
We
retreat.
don't retreat. Guillermo doesn't retreat. Jim Franklin certainly doesn't retreat, and I'm not going to retreat from this toffee fake candy I brought in here. It's past my bedtime. I need some sugar to stay up. And what I tell you, if Larry pulls this off, I might just party for 2 weeks.
There you go. There you go. And Jim Franklin, who always brings you the right side of the left coast. Could the left coast be the right coast?
Suddenly, I have to change an entire slogan. So I've spent all this money on.
Dadgummit.
Listen.
Those unintended consequences.
Yeah, here I am getting
time.
all going, and they go and change on me right at the
Oh, man,
last
you
minute.
lower taxes, you got school choice, but dadgummit, I got to change my intros.
Wouldn't that? Yes. Forget all that. I don't want to change my intros. Those voiceovers are expensive.
They are. They're not cheap. They're Hey, well, you know what? Larry has some money, so he'll be able to help you. He probably would cut you a new intro. He would probably cut you a new intro. Jim Franklin Live. Let me ask you this: is it possible? What's your gut telling you? My gut is, I don't know. I feel 2016ish. I do. 2016.
Well, I'm so glad, because the last time I said it here at an election, you were just doom and gloom and agony, and nothing was going to work, and you were right.
Yes.
And so I'm hoping that you're right in your gut feeling tonight. I feel, here's when people ask me. I say, well, hey, David defeated Goliath, and so I'm not going by the odds. This ain't Vegas. I'm going by what the need is in our state. And I like what you said earlier, Alan, is the fact that we always talk Democrat, Republican, but really that doesn't work in California because it is the independents.
Yeah.
And when I pull up to a gas pump and I'm looking at $5+ a gallon, I don't care what the letter is behind my name, that stings. And I've often said people are, at the end of the day, going to vote green, not red and blue. They're going to vote the color of money. They're going to vote what impacts their finances, and they can sit and have the discussions and the arguments about Republicans, Democrats, and all of that. But when they pull out their wallet in the privacy of their home, and they're going to say, wait a minute, who's going to help me to be able to keep food on my table and be able to do some of the things that I want to do? People are deciding now. I saw a picture coming in tonight of Disney World. And my son was just down at Disneyland. There's nobody there. The Disney World parking lot was empty, literally.
Disney World or Disneyland?
Disney World in Florida. And my son said Disneyland is the same way. It's just that it's not crowded at all. And here's why. People can't afford this kind of stuff. They want to. This is what we're used to in California. So am I going to drive over to the coast? I can't afford to drive over to the coast. I can't afford the types of things, and it can all be boiled down to the decisions that this governor and the ruling party in Sacramento has made. And I think people are smart enough to figure that out, to say, wait a minute, put this Republican, Democrat, we're tired of all the Trump stories and everything. We just want the California that we used to have. We just want to be able to afford to live here. This is the Golden State. We want it to return to that. And I think the shenanigans of what you were mentioning of the governor that he's done with the French Laundry and his kids in school and ours not, and just the arrogance that we see, that people see through that. And that's why I don't go by the polls of what we have seen, because conservatives don't poll well. What I mean by that, they ain't going to tell you how I'm going to vote.
Yeah.
That's not.
Don't ask me that.
That's none of your business how I'm going to vote. And we know that they turn out at the last minute to vote. We saw that all the way back. I've referred to this several times, all the way back to Prop 8. Prop 8, all the polls said Prop 8 wouldn't pass. You can't do that in California. I know that was years ago, but it did pass, and the polls said that it wouldn't. And I think for the same reason. Then you go back to the Trump-Clinton. And no way that Trump can win. All the polls, no, Clinton's going to win. No, Hillary will be the next one. And that turned around different. I think we're very, very possibly in store for that type of thing tonight. But I've already declared a win in what we have done. We have beat the left in the fact that they said, they laughed at us, they scoffed at us at even the thought of a recall. There is no way you guys can do that. We control the state. Well, they found out quick that they didn't when it came to the power of a recall. And then at first they laughed, there's no way. And then Larry Elder gets in, and suddenly you get a communicator that is able to communicate the message, is the way that Larry can do that. And it grabbed the attention of the California voter. Nobody's ever talked to us that way. Nobody's explained things like that.
In a long time.
We've never heard that. And they rallied to that, and minorities rallied to that also. And that then obviously put the fear, not of God, I don't know what it put of fear, but it put a fear in the left to where they rallied with everything they had. I mean, what is it now? $70 million so far that they've spent on this thing. It has done damage. Now, I know you talk about Gavin Newsom being the golden boy. I think he's damaged goods now.
I don't know.
I really think, because if it gets as close as what you said, Alan, then I don't think they're going to touch him. I think they're going to say it. And now, again, you got kinfolk there and the Speaker of the House, and the Democratic Party is begging for leadership. So they're looking for something.
They're looking for the next
and
guy,
he fits that. But all said and done, I think any Republican, if he tried to move to a national scene, would love to run against Gavin Newsom to show the record of as goes California, so goes the. So do you want California? We don't drink the Kool-Aid here. We manufacture the Kool-Aid here.
Well said.
Yeah. You know, Jim, I think I tend to agree with you, and Guillermo, I agree with you as well. I think in his own party, they would consider some that are kind of politically naive and don't really know human nature would say, okay, he's our guy. The Republicans knocked him down. He got up, cut over both eyes. Yo, I did it. Pull a Rocky thing and come in here. Yeah, look, Nancy Pelosi. We did it. You know, that sort of thing. And I think there'll be some there. But I tend to agree with Pastor Jim is if he doesn't show some contriteness, some humility after this, if he does anything resembling a victory lap, I believe he's done. Because he's still got, people are going to say, okay, you won. The fires are still raging. Okay. You know, taxes are still going through the roof. I still want my freedoms. We still don't have schools that work. We're stuck in zip code prison in our schools. And what are you going to do about this? And if the first thing he does, and I think that was probably the deal, is with Biden to embrace Biden's mandate that my patience is wearing thin on you non-vaxxers. Now, what the heck does that mean? Well, we know what that's a flat-out threat. What is it? And if he hitches his wagon, Newsom, to that, doesn't have a chance. But if he does, and he starts standing up to the teachers union, if he starts being more business friendly, if he now I see you, Jim Skipper, and I don't think he's going to do that.
They're the ones that bought the victory for him.
I don't think that's going to happen at all.
Do you ever? If you think he was beholding to them prior to this?
Yes, exactly.
They have bought and sealed him. Yeah. They own him.
Well,
they have a leash around his neck.
I agree 100%. And when you're hamstrung like that by so many special interests, environmental extremists, the teachers union, and big tech. You know, they're all in there. The Facebook, Google, all those guys have their tentacles in him. It prevents you from making a practical, thought-out, right decision for your state because everything else you're factoring into it. What's the reverberation is going to be this in Washington, like you just said, the deal I made there, the this and that. And I don't mean to bring up this disparagingly at all, Dan Whitehurst, who I ran against back in the day. If you just look at pure qualifications, I would have voted for him over me. But I think that God picks different people at different times. And I knew Dan was going to be in trouble because he had friendships and business relationships with so many developers, so many things that he wasn't going to be able to make decisions that needed to be made because of that. And again, Dan is a very honorable person, an honest person. It's just political realities. So, but see, I'm going to go. My deal on this. I'm going to do the Seinfeld deal. Do the opposite. I'm going to do some. Okay, thinking I'm always happening. The opposite happens because that Seinfeld theory really in my life. If I'm looking for some directions going to some place I've forgotten, I'm sure it's left. I'm sure it's down here on Blackstone. I'm going to turn left on Blackstone. No, it's right on Blackstone. It's just invariably. So
let me give you another reason why we win tonight, even if we lose. Because just as we mentioned, the left has spent $70 million. Mm-hmm. Now, Gavin Newsom has to perform because, as you mentioned earlier, we are now into the next election cycle.
Absolutely,
it has immediately. It has begun immediately. They have spent a lot of money They've proven that the right has proven, Larry Elder has proven that Gavin Newsom is wounded. He's vulnerable. Now, are they going to come around for a second round with more money, the left, to try to support him? And believe me, Larry Elder's going to come back with a vengeance. And I think there's going to be those that are going to stand behind him and say, now, the guy's wounded. Let's go after him.
All right. Well,
Now, Jim, vengeance is
Didn't you
mine.
hear the music?
Vengeance is mine,
you know
saith
how
the Lord.
Didn't you hear
Now,
the
hold
music?
on.
Didn't you hear the music? Don't you know how this game is played?
election coverage.
We have to teach you
What's
there.
that music? What's that in my ear?
Yeah.
Okay, there's music in my ear,
I'm
Guillermo.
trying
What's
to
that
keep us
mean?
professional, folks. I'm trying to keep us professional.
Jim Franklin, Alan Autry joining us here for our election coverage. Oh, man, the numbers are coming up. 19 minutes away. We'll be right back here on the best talk in town, Talk Radio 1550 KXCX.
All right, we're on the air now. Somewhere. Oh, yeah.
Let me know when you're ready.
You guys ready?
Yeah, I'll get this cough out of my mouth.
And welcome back to election coverage here on a recall night. If you were listening to the coverage before, Guillermo's voice got a little deeper, but his face got a whole lot uglier and older. It looks a lot like Autry here. He needed a break. Guillermo needed a break. I stepped in, but we're lucky with us and blessed to have Pastor Jim Franklin still with us and Todd Cotta. Come on in. How many times you?
Good to meet you.
Nice
First
meeting you,
time.
Todd.
First time I've met you.
Well, I tell you, we got the better end of that deal, Pastor and I.
Definitely.
Before we get going, how many times has somebody come to you and said, "Welcome back, Cotta," and think they were the original ones to say that?
You know, when I was a little kid, it was Hot Toddy, all my dad's friends at the restaurant.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Hot
Yeah. And then as I got older, and then they had the Welcome Back Cotter show.
You
Oh
got-
God,
they
it was
got
forever.
And everybody thinks they came up with originally.
Oh, I know, but they all forgot about it by now, so I never hear it again.
Okay. Hey, Todd, what's your take on this? It's a big night. We've been kind of analyzing it, Jim, Guillermo, folks online, listeners. What's your take on things? Give us your analysis as far as just thoughts on it, and then the chances of success tonight for Larry Elder.
You know, a lot of things that have gone through my mind. It's been a long, almost 2 years now for us, and it's, you know, I own the King's Gun Center down in Hanford, and we get almost 4,000 signatures alone.
Can I get some 9mm? Do you have any?
I
in
do
stock?
have some.
Thank you.
There
Yeah.
was a nice little 357 laying around.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
actually, we just got some in the other day. Look at that. My gosh, it's coming in slow, but we're getting ammo.
right.
But our store pulled in about 4,000 for Kings County alone. And Kings County was the highest recall petition per capita in the state. And we're real proud of that. And
Why do you think that is? Because I've noticed that Fresno County is conservative.
Mhm.
I mean, it still is.
Yeah.
Some things are changing, but it's still solidly. But Kings.
You said Fresno County.
What's that? Fresno County.
I was going to argue with you. You said Fresno.
no, Fresno County as a whole. Yes, I
That's
get
a
that.
whole different topic.
But no,
there's
Kings County, they're just, it's a very motivated population down there, and it's a traditional community in
We love
America.
America.
Yeah, it's a traditional community. You know, we had a big fundraiser dinner back in the spring. We raised about $25,000 for signs for the Fresno Republican Club to buy signs. And then there's two people that I want to thank right off the bat. And one is the global thank you to Orrin Heatley and his team. What they have done is just miraculous to get us to this night right here.
Now, is he local out of?
No, he's out of Sacramento. He's
Okay.
the one. Orrin Heatley's the one that started this thing up in Sacramento.
Okay, so he's a Republican in depth in the Republican Party. Okay.
No. Him and Mike Netter were tired of the governor,
Okay.
and they started the recall. It had nothing to
Right.
do with Republican. It's a recall effort for the
So
governor.
a couple of individuals. not an
Individuals. This is
organization,
not the
started
party
this.
doing this at all.
That's how it
Matter
started.
of fact,
Wow.
Sacramento, if you ask Sacramento to do this, they wouldn't do it in a minute. I don't trust the Sacramento GOP at
I'm
all.
with you. I'm with you.
At all.
I'm with
So
you.
Mike Netter and Orrin Heatley are the two guys that put this thing together, and now they have spawned recalls all across the country. They're flying all over the country, setting up networks for recalls for these governors, like in Michigan and these other places now, and even down to the city council level. And it's been a really neat adventure for them. They've learned a lot, and now they have a huge consulting thing going on with other people that are tired of their politicians. The second one is, and I got the text from him today, this morning when I was waiting. I just arrived from Waco, Texas, about an hour ago. I landed and came straight over here.
You came out of God's country there.
Yeah.
No offense to Oklahoma.
No, I'm sorry you
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah, Oklahoma, I get that.
Hook 'em
But,
orange. You just hate hearing that.
but I had a chance to go over and speak with an associate over there that's building a new indoor range and just doing some consulting work. So I went over but the guy that really makes a difference in this valley here is Russ Waymeyer.
Mm.
And if you've met Russ, you'll know Russ.
Yeah.
And that is the most tireless working guy. If you've seen a sign,
he's my son-in-law's father.
there you go. If you see a sign on I-5, if you see a sign on 41, if you see a sign on 43, if you see a sign in Central California, his fingerprints are on it.
Yes.
That is the most tireless working patriot I've ever seen. And Russ Waymeyer
Yes.
needs a ton of credit for what he did. I don't care what we did. That guy is a machine. And I had a chance to talk with the Olson brothers, the consulting firm in Hanford. They do political consulting. And they were looking at the early numbers coming out and the early polling coming out. And they were saying that 60% of independents are going to vote to recall. 55% of Latinos are going to vote to recall. 25% of Democrats are going to vote to recall, and 90% of Republicans are going to vote to recall. The ones that vote.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if those hold true, we got a chance.
Yeah.
What do you? It's kind of a loaded question, but I've been wanting to. Probably requires
he
a
has
lot.
a gun range.
Requires
so it's
Yeah,
okay.
I'll
Let's
ta- yeah,
go
I'll
ahead.
take it.
Let's let
Bring it on.
It probably requires a show of its own, but let's kind of delve into it a little bit, Pastor and Todd and listeners. In the state of California, what the heck happened? This state, growing up, and I swore I'd never say this when I was growing up, because the old timers would say, well, back in the day, this state's political body built a water system that was the envy not only of the state and the country, but the world.
Yes.
And they did it with a part-time legislature.
Mm-hmm.
The schools were some of the best in the country.
Yeah.
There was, as Jim said earlier, it was the Golden State. How did we deteriorate really in not that long of a time from the Golden State? You heard a tale of two cities. We're a tale of three states. We have just broken up, seceded. Northern, Central, and Southern California. The politics are so at cross means with each other. It used to be that the Hollywood actor knew that farmer in the San Joaquin Valley was important to him. When he was sitting down there at lunchtime on Studio B at Warner Brothers, and the farmer here in Fresno loved to go to movies to see Jack Nicholson, and they all loved to drive up to San Francisco, even during the 60s when the hippies were out there.
Oh, they had the
there
basket up
you
there.
didn't have the homelessness out there like you have now.
No.
The question is, what happened? Jim, let's start with you. What the heck happened?
Don't blame me. I'm from Oklahoma. So look from when did that happen? When did you begin to see that deterioration? Again, I didn't grow up here. I've only been out here a quarter of a century.
I saw it start to happen in the mid 70s. I saw stuff starting to really change, especially in the schools.
So who was the governor?
The governor back then was it was Reagan. Reagan.
So did you see? And I'm asking.
But
did
he
you
fought.
see the beginning of the end at the end of his term when he left during his term, or?
Well, here's what I saw. It's an interesting question. I'm glad you brought that up.
Me too.
Prior to Reagan, you had Pat Brown, not Governor Jerry Brown's father.
Yes.
Who, and correct me if I'm wrong on Todd, you're a lifelong guy here, and so is your dad. We're talking, he's from Layton, I'm Riverdale.
Yeah,
so we had
a lot of catching up tonight.
And they just didn't argue. You had guys like Ken Maddie, that Republicans and Democrats worked together with the governor. You didn't read about a lot of friction. There was always stuff going on, but none of these death battles. They got stuff done. Then when Reagan came in, I noticed he had to fight for everything, every common sense thing that used to come naturally to California.
Mm-hmm.
The common sense stuff become a battle that Reagan had to fight. And so you saw that. So I guess it's even earlier than that, Jim. I guess like in 68, 69, thinking back on it, you saw these things starting to
The
turn.
whole country changed in that late 60s era with all the drugs and the
Free love.
hippies and all that free love stuff. I mean, the 60s were a metamorphosis of what the country is today. Now, remember, when I was in school, which was 1975 through 88, there was no such thing as school lunches. There was no such thing as school breakfast. There was no such thing as after-school programs. Now, remember, if you're going to get to the population, you got to get to them young. Mm-hmm. You got to get them entitled young. Mm. And they just started, as I was in high school, doing free lunches for kids that couldn't afford it. You had to qualify for that.
Right.
And now it's across the board. Breakfast. Even when we were in the pandemic, they were still making lunches and giving them in the cars, passing them out through a car at the campuses. Just pull up and put it in your window. Keep your mask on.
So what you're saying is, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying this kind of giveaway welfare state type thing that came out that started basically with the Great Society of Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah.
picked up steam, and especially here in California, the entitlement culture started to take over year by year by year. I buy a lot of that.
It's the simple things. What about the participation trophies? What about, not spanking your children? What about, those kinds of little tiny things, little tiny things
add up to,
that start people thinking that they're important. Start people that they know better than the adults in the room. That give people a false sense of who they are.
Right.
And I'm sorry, I have 2 kids and I love them to death, and I kind of raised them the way I was raised, and I wasn't going to allow we homeschooled our kids. We did not want to put them in that cesspool. And God bless people that don't have time and don't have the money to private school or homeschool their kids. I get that, but we made a conscious decision, my wife and I, that we were not going to let our children be corrupted by the system at all. We couldn't do it.
Jim, okay, gave you a little bit of history. Now, you've been here since when? When did you come? It seems like you've always been here.
28 years ago.
So let's put a date on that. Todd and I got you from like 1968 to
92.
To 92, you came here. Okay. Yeah, we were pretty much... California was a different California.
My shop is a half mile away from the hospital I was born at. That's how much is California.
So, maybe this is a better question. When you got to know California, you came here on your plane from Oklahoma. You know Jim's story. He was looking to go someplace in Oklahoma, another church opportunity there with God, but he came in and he and his wife and went to Cornerstone and got on a plane. If I'm misspoken, just tell me.
No, it's a good story. Go ahead. I like that. I like that. Go ahead and tell it.
I'll make you look really good.
Try. I need it.
And then, but he went back, and the Lord really spoke to their hearts and says, we want you to be in Fresno.
You grow up in Oklahoma. You don't want to come to California because basically I'd never been to California. All I knew about California was San Francisco and L.A. And if that's all you knew about California, you probably wouldn't want to come out here. We kind of looked at California was like the dropping off place on the way to hell. So when hell's full, they hold you in California until they can make room for you. And sadly, it's kind of turned out to be
was
that
way. What you found when you and Cindy got here?
Well, I mean,
I know you love Fresno,
right?
But I mean,
we're here. We're committed to this
because almost immediately the political culture in this state got on your nerves.
Well, yeah.
Big time.
Again, coming from the Midwest, coming from what we were used to in Oklahoma, Texas, where we went to college, and then to come out here, you see that. I think it's what you said is the fact that in the 60s, where we saw this big revolution that took place, and all these kids are in college, and that's what they're liking. Well, now that has infiltrated into the very fabric of the society. Those guys turned out to be the next city councilman, school board, city hall, all the way to the governor.
Absolutely.
And so we've sown to the wind and we've reaped the whirlwind.
Well, the music says we're going to take a break and pay some bills. You taught me that.
That's
you
a radio lesson there.
Quickly I catch on there. Folks, we'll be right back. This is Election Night coverage, KXEX 1550. This is Guillermo Moreno's show. I'm just pinch hitting here. Guillermo's been on the mic for a long time today, so give me a little break. Here with Todd Collar, and we'll be right back with some more coverage, Election Night. Do you call it? What is it? Recall election.
Yeah, Russ is a great guy. Russ is a great guy.
Yeah.
John, his son, is married to my daughter.
So Russ and I put on that dinner down there together. The one that we did to raise the money.
Yes.
I'm that guy.
Well,
You're that guy.
I have my own podcast. It's Rebel Radio. Rebel Radio now.
I've heard.
I've run the show here a couple times. I love it. I was in radio from 1992 to 96.
I'm sorry.
I was at FM DJ.
How do you get that out of your system?
You become a cop for 21 years.
Oh, that does it. Oh, or you're in law enforcement.
President deputy.
My son's in law enforcement in Benicia.
Okay. Oh, that's gonna be a fun moment there.
He was baptized in fire. He got up there, just got out of the academy first, and got up there right when all the riots and everything.
John,
that's Alameda, right?
So they sent him. Yeah,
Yeah.
Send him over to Oakland
It's
Jackson Tart.
it's Newsom and these northern things, but Cox is showing up.
Well, that'll go quick. That'll go quick. That's his moment. That's John's moment.
my dad.
Yes. Tell him I saw you kidding me. Tell him I said, hey, look
And
forward
nice
to,
meeting you.
You too.
we made plans
see
to
me
come to
sometime.
Hanford.
Anytime you're downtown.
Past bedtime.
Oh, okay.
You just came and picked me up from the airport. Say, hey, we're going to Moreno.
I appreciate it. Let's have lunch.
Yes, absolutely. My time's your time. I'm good till the 25th of October. Okay.
You pick up a couple guns too. Oh, my pastor just heard.
Oh, you have to ask me for ammo too.
Oh, well,
I'm packing.
well, never mind. No takes on.
Early
Oh,
lead.
no takes on early lead. I thought it was like no takes on the early lead. Like
You
we
want
don't
back in the
I wanna figure out. No, because I want to figure out where we're gonna what we're gonna take to call it as. I think we'll just go Secretary of State. That's probably the most neutral.
Are you ready to call it already?
No. I meant, you know what I mean. Like which.
Let's call it and go home. Okay, we're calling it. That's night for our coverage, folks. We're tired. Check the Fresno Bee in the morning.
Oh man. Oh.
Oh, now there's a safe question. Is the coronavirus situation in California getting better? Yeah, that's a safe one. That's what CNN is dealing with tonight.
Come on in.
58% no, 42% yes. Latino.
Well, where are they?
They're chipping away though.
That's CNN. That's CNN. That's.
Well, you guys don't believe CNN.
I know he has it up there.
Love us. Of the liar.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my girlfriend's Morgan Fairchild. Yes, that's my
Yeah,
girlfriend.
that's my girlfriend.
You never know.
Put in that wrong thing, that hair's going to just start. Damn! You got this. You and Jesse Waters, man, got the best hair.
I can actually confirm.
Hey, come
Well,
on,
Matt, you're giving him a close run.
Matt.
too.
Yeah, he is.
Sturdy hair. Sturdy there. You too. Me, I got the little
Hey, so
thin old Asian.
I gotta say, I'm cutting your Rocky impression.
oh, we got to do that. That's why as soon as he said that, I thought that's social media right there.
Yeah.
Don't get him started with his impressions. Don't get him started with his impressions.
Yeah.
Jose, can you tell Major Sladek if he'd be willing to come on in about 25 minutes?
Let me step out and let the heavy hitters. You don't need me here. Of course we do. I'll do one
You
more segment
are-
because you got them lined up out there. I'm
You
gonna
are
go home.
Mr. Heavy Hitter.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
Okay.
you're gonna name change. World be free.
Shit, we got your picture up.
Do you?
You're
Where'd
right
you get
there.
that? I didn't
All right,
see
we
it.
got 40 seconds.
I want to be on the bottom.
Nah, you're
Tell Jose that. You gotta be on.
gonna be on the bottom.
You could hate.
Any update, Matt?
My wife is actually listening
All right,
to us
20
tonight. You don't
seconds.
know what a rarity that is. She must be on her way home.
Bored.
Man, we got a conference this week.
And welcome back to election night coverage here at KXEX 1550 AM. It was great having Todd here with us. He's had to skedaddle, get his daddy home to Layton, and it was great visiting with them. He had a lot of good stuff to say. We went into kind of how we got to the place we are today in California and events that happened. And, you know, maybe this, whichever way this thing goes tonight, I think it's unanimous, at least folks here in this KXEX studio, that this is a big wake-up call for all of us, in particular the Democratic Party. And Guillermo's back in the saddle here. Guillermo, you got your
Back in the
ready
saddle.
to jump out of it. You got some information for us?
I do. The data's coming slowly, as it was on election night. I think everyone is. I don't know if they're counting. I don't know if they realize that they got to stop counting the votes or start counting and stop allowing the votes. But some early numbers, and I hate to say this, but they're the only ones that are pulling anything definitive. 6% of the vote is in, not very much. No, keep Gavin Newsom 60%, 60.6. The yes, get rid of him 39. So it's a 60-40. 60% to keep them, 40% to dump them. So that's where the
Yeah, but that's at how many percent?
Yeah, that's 6%.
Now, is that? Are they
I just want to give the get what we have. Give what we have. 173,000, which is
that mostly mail in, or do we know? Is that?
I will find out. I don't want to give away. I don't want to give information that I don't have.
And they would be opening those up as soon as possible. But that's just a gut feeling based on nothing other than
I went down to the election office today and voted right downtown. Went straight to the source and voted. Did you vote in person?
I did. I went to Mosqueda Center. I was vote at 2:40 p.m. I was vote 167 the whole day.
I'm trying to think what my number was. It came up on the. Can't remember, to be honest with you.
You know, it just hit me. Just hit me what Larry Elder could have done just to seal this election. Win it. You know, did you see how Newsom timed that $600 stimulus check?
Oh, yeah.
All Larry had to do was send out a $700 check to every Californian, and this election would be in the bag, baby.
You should have told him. You should have told him.
How much would that be? How many California? 700 times. See, all Newsom had to do was give all that money printed that Octavia Cortez, you know she's there in the Federal Reserve now. You saw that.
Yeah.
She's behind the presses pulling, how much you want? How much you want? Did you see her at that Met Gala with the flowing dress with Tax the Rich?
Oh, yeah.
No,
did you see that?
Oh, yes, I did.
Isn't that just like Marxists?
That's-
They go to the top. Folks, those who think that Marxists are that Fidel Castro didn't eat the caviar and drive the Mercedes and live in the best place because he wore his fatigues around, to make it look like he was with a common guy. This was the funny. We're going to talk about it on the show tomorrow. But anyway, get sidetracked there a little bit. Not really. It's all connected.
It is. I'm
money,
trying.
money. And from what we understand, are you sure, Jim Franklin, that you heard $70 million has been spent in ads?
Yeah. I was interviewed by Newsweek night before last, and they were giving me those numbers.
$70 million on the recall race that Governor Newsom
the Democrats
has spent. Wow. How do you beat that? Because
that's the money that we know that they've spent.
I don't want to get. Yeah, I do want to get deeper on this. Dadgummit, we have to wake up. The people, the populace is not dumb as this far left and Obama saying over and over how great Governor Newsom has been and how he wants people that Larry Elder wants people to get sick. This is a former president of the United States saw fit to interject himself in this race and just say nothing but a pack of freaking lies over and over. Thomas Sowell, it's great economist, intellectual out of the Hoover Institute, African-American man, very highly respected. I love this man. He's so full of common sense. He says, statements are made and accepted as true because they can be demonstrably proven to be true. But then other statements are made and accepted as true simply because they've been repeated so often.
And that's what the left does. And I'll give you an answer to that. So we were watching here the network that shall not be named, in my opinion, And so all the things that are talking about is how that the Democrats outnumber Republicans 2-1 in California. That's a true statement, but it does not give the picture, as we've talked earlier, of the electorate here in California. But yet that's what they put on, because then it's hopeless. They outnumber us 2-1.
So why turn out?
So
why go to the booth?
Exactly.
Why fill the ballot out?
So you can even say the truth out of context, and they know how to twist it to utilize it for their good. Here's the thing about the amount of money that they're spending that I think, Alan, is that, and you stated it so well, if Gavin Newsom doesn't just run away with this thing totally, and if he does, that's going to put the election in question, because everything says that it wasn't a runaway. That's then going to put the integrity of the election. But if he doesn't, then that's also going to send a message to the left that you can't buy California anymore, because proportionally the amount of money that they've spent compared to what any other candidate has spent, they should have. So they've already lost before they've started, and as we mentioned earlier, this now is going to shift very quickly to the next election, because Gavin's only got one more year, and so the election starts again all over.
You know, I think you're absolutely right, Jim, and I think there's going to be an attitude out there, excuse me, even those who voted for Newsom, and I'm talking about the common sense, clear thinking folks that are staunchly Democrat, but have not yet gone over into Looney Tuneville and become a critical race theory individual, or think a 3-year-old can pick their gender. The classic liberal who says, I'm just not going to vote Republican. I'm going to back this guy up here. But I expect better. I think they're going to say, okay, dude, I'm going to go fill in. No. But dadgummit, you better change the way you're doing things. And you better start getting things done, pulling this state together instead of dividing. I think that's why, and you brought it up earlier segment with Guillermo, even if this is lost, the governorship race for 2022 has started, and you have enough time, the candidates, and if Larry stays in, I think he's a formidable candidate, somebody else could come in. And I think that you win, as you said, you win if I know that sounds like an oxymoron.
We win even if we lose.
Yes. And sometimes it sounds cliche-ish, but it's true. Sometimes you have to lose the battle to win the war. Because if we hadn't done this recall, people, you're going to lose anyway. It's like people used to tell me when I would veto things at City Hall, and I knew it was going to be 6-1.
You worked at City Hall?
Yeah, for a while there. Yeah, I was over at Starbucks. Like, you made some great decisions. But, they'd say, why would you veto this? Yeah. Because it's 6-1. Because the issue I felt was so important that people needed to know there was a separation of government here, and that I thought there was things flawed with it. So you veto it, and people go, well, why did you veto it? Then they start asking questions and want to educate themselves a little bit more about the issue. So this recall, again, we're not being defeatist here, folks. I tell you, this whole thing has defied the odds from the beginning. To get a recall done during this COVID period,
we win even if we lose. So here's the thing that conservatives have got to learn from this, and I hope that they do. Sadly, what we have done, and Guillermo, you're a lot more of a political animal than I am, but
heavy on the animal.
So if we lose an election, a candidate lose or whatever, then what happens is we just all pick up our toys and go home and we cry for a couple of years. This is a long-term game. And so this is the first quarter.
Yeah.
This is not the game. This is the first quarter. And with what we did, or the second quarter, because I think the first quarter was getting the signatures. And now we're to this point of bringing him to an election. If we will keep the heat on because we've got another year, we're going to enter. This is just halftime.
Yeah.
And if we don't pull this thing off tonight, we have advanced the ball way down the field. Don't go into the locker room yet.
Yeah.
And as an Oklahoma Sooner, I know about winning.
Yeah.
Except when you play Texas.
Or Michigan State.
Do they still have teams?
Or Fresno State. So, Jim, Guillermo, could we be seeing here something bigger than a recall? Could we be participating at this moment in the birth of a movement?
I think so.
Here in California?
I think so.
Because I think that's what you described.
Described. So we can't just look at it, okay, so we didn't win this. So it's all over. I mean, you look at these numbers that are coming in, and like I say, I'm not giving up on tonight by any means, but I'm very excited. And you mentioned earlier before I came on about what Larry had told you. He's not giving up. I had the same conversation with him.
Yeah.
He's not giving up. He does want to save a state.
So I do want to. They're dropping more data now. It was a little slow. I was kind of running around. Where give me this data?
Dropping data.
We're dropping data quite rapidly. Keep Gavin Newsom is essentially at 69.4, and to remove Gavin Newsom is at 30% now. So it's 70-30. 70-30.
Do you know where that's coming from?
Yeah, yes, we do. There was a huge drop up, obviously, in the Bay Area.
Okay.
Napa County just dropped. Yolo County just dropped. Sacramento, obviously. Trinity County, obviously not a lot of votes there. But, I mean, the L.A. area is coming in big. They're coming in big. You know, you got 1.4 million in favor of keeping Gavin Newsom and, 438,000
How about
for Larry
Orange
Elder.
County?
Orange County has not dropped yet. Fresno County, that is, we're at 59%. Votes reported, and Fresno is close. 53 keep Gavin Newsom, and 46% boot him out. So here in Fresno County, it's a lot. Gavin Newsom's still ahead, but it's a little bit closer. I know. In the next segment, we're going to go on into our newsroom there, and Matt White's going to give us the up to date as soon as they happen. That way, we could keep dissecting it in real time. But I agree with what you were saying. Conservatives don't pick up. Don't get off the field. You got to stay on the field. And listen, this is one tool we have, recall. You got ballot initiatives. You got voter registration. This isn't just a one take. I mean, we can do this now. I mean, we can register voters.
Let me toss this on the table here. Because we all three here lean, so I'm an independent, but if you look at my values, what stands I've taken, positions, people could call me a conservative. Excuse me, I believe in God, family, country, I believe in Constitution, that's on the bench, go on, so on and so forth. But shouldn't we be talking about this event here that's happened in California in broader terms politically? Meaning there's a constituency here that got behind this recall that was not solely conservatives. We can't forget that. There's a coalition that came together of Democrats, centrist Democrats, moderate Republicans, Trump Republicans, that came together under the common cause that things have to change.
Yeah.
And they want something different in the state of California. I think the trick is it's not just for Republicans not to pick up their toys and go home, which is the tendency to do that in this state, number one. But then number two, to start finding out who those people are, those groups, and those individuals, and I'm sure Larry's thinking in this terms, because you want to take that coalition and you want to expand that coalition come 2022 in November. Yeah. So we got to think beyond. There's something that's happened here. So the thing is, we're having guests over for dinner, and people coming to dinner that may be a little nervous because we're going to the house of people we had a little problem with. It's like going over the neighbors whose dogs were barking. And you complained, and they say, well, let's get together and see what we got in common because we're all neighbors.
So what the left wanted us to do is define this by party. And that's why they kept saying Trump, Republican recall, and everything. We have got to move past that this is beyond party. It really is about we need to save this state. This state is heading in the wrong direction in every area. I can't think of one area that we're doing good in.
None.
And so we've got to turn this thing around. When we talk about issues, I was listening, go back to Larry Elders, he was talking about the issues, and all that Gavin Newsom will do is attack him personally. Stay on the issues. We're winning there. As we let them make it about personalities and politics, then that's where we lose. Don't grow weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we don't give up. That's a book I like to quote.
Amen to that, brother. And the music's here, as Jim's taught me well. We got to go to break. We'll be right back with Guillermo Moreno, Jim Franklin, and yours truly, election night in California. The trick is
Oh, yeah, please. Hey, Matt, you ready to rock and roll? Matt. Yeah. All right.
Oh, man.
All right, Matt, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
All right, when you have we'll kick it over to you as soon as we come back. We'll go into the newsroom and you give us the latest up to the minute stats. Jose?
So, Guillermo, what are you guys using for results right now? Same page.
New York Times.
Yeah.
Jose, can you post New York Times results? They're the ones that are.
Because I can't get into their main thing. I've been watching.
New York Times?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only one that's updating them pretty.
Oh, shoot! I just lost it. Dang! I don't want to. Do I need to? What the heck?
I remember the old days.
Do I gotta subscribe?
We used to go down to the courthouse.
I gotta subscribe, Guillermo?
You might. I'm a subscriber, unfortunately. Babe, can you give this
laptop?
laptop to?
They would come outside with a bullhorn.
I can get it, Guillermo, if you want me to. I'll just subscribe real quick.
No. The laptop's on our way.
Oh,
No, just small little
Okay.
county right
Yeah,
there.
Because
well,
Kings
That's
County
the
dropped,
only way
Fresno dropped. I know Fresno's close. So.
All right, recall election coverage. Alan Autry from Alan Autry, no retreat, 12-1, and then Jim Franklin bringing you the right side of the left coast. And right now, the left coast looks
Left.
very
Left.
very, very left. But why don't we check in on our newsroom in just a bit when the newsroom is ready to bring us the up-to-the-minute results on what the numbers are. They're not good. They're not good. So the newsroom, take your time. Don't come in too soon. Don't come in with reality just yet. You were saying before we left a break, you were mentioning something pretty. You'd mentioned, and we all agreed. You were quoting scripture.
It's come to that now. No, my point is, and this is what I'll basically leave on tonight, is even if we lose, we have won. And I don't want us to be negative, because if we're too much, then that's it. I'm never going to try again, because we've been burned several times. And we're never going to do it. We can't win. They rigged the thing and all that. We cannot give up on this. This is just halftime. The second half comes up in this next year. We have backed him into a corner. He has got to perform. He has spent millions of dollars, 70 plus. Now's the time for us to come back with everything that we've got, just because we're behind at halftime.
Mm-hmm. Agree 100%.
I agree, and I think what Larry Elder needs to do is hit the stage tonight and say, "Hey, I was just warming up. I haven't even come out fully. I was just practicing."
You know, Guillermo, if this stands up, and it seems to be like a huge comeback, if there is one to happen here tonight, we just got to be realistic about it. If I was advising Larry Elder, far be it from me, but I'm going to, I would say I wouldn't come out saying, "Hey," I'd say, "Look, the people have spoken. We've got a lot of things to fix in this state, and he's our governor now. 2022, we got to pull for him to make the right decisions, knowing full well that he's not going to change his stripes. But we all have to wish him well, because if he continues down this path, and I think you can articulate that without saying, "Hey, I'm just blindly endorsing Gavin Newsom here." He can be gracious in defeat. This election's going to be on us in 2022 very quickly. This guy, I hate to say, I'm going to be respectful. Our governor, Newsom, he is going to have to change dramatically to address the problems facing this state. He tries to do it politically, he's done. And the people know that. because there's going to be, as we said earlier, those people that have voted for him, they're going to hold him more accountable than the conservatives.
I'm telling you, it's going to be second verse, same as the first.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, guy.
And then you gear it up, and then when you're ready to announce, and he'll be ready to announce in a few months. I don't anticipate, sadly, that the state's conditions are going to change much. Then you go on the offensive, because I think that's what the constituency we were talking about, conservative Democrats, middle of the road Republicans, are wanting to see some real leadership, someone to come out, not be a partisan.
I think the Democrats are so desperate for a win. They haven't had a win in Congress. They haven't had a win in the executive branch. This is going to be their win tonight. All the Democrats are going to rejoice. I think his stock just rises. I don't think he's got a he's pretty. He can do anything. I think he's going to come across as invincible. I mean, he's an elitist. I mean, he's already shown he doesn't care.
It's going to play right into our hands.
I hope.
Guillermo, the only way the left is going to discard you like an old pair of pants, man. If you're not, they're going to get rid of Fauci's not going to be around 2022. They're going to throw him under the bus. Any liability, they're going to get rid of. And I think Newsom, they've said, okay, we've given you everything we can, dude. Biden came out here. Kamala Harris came out here. We spent $70 million.
Yeah.
You got to produce. And how do you produce? You got to bring the state together. And they're not going to bring the state together. He doesn't have it in him.
We saw
and
this.
I hope I'm wrong.
We saw this with President Biden in all his promises and all of that, and then an election, and now he could not deliver, and his ratings are plummeting. Newsom will be in the same boat if he doesn't deliver, and we know he can't deliver because he's tied himself to the boulder that sunk him in the first place, and that's the unions, and that's the environmentalists, and all the others. He's not going to change spot. A leopard can't change his spots. Things are not going to get better. They're going to continue. You think really they're going to build water storage? You think really they're going to clean up the forest?
No, I don't. I would advise Larry to be the statesman. Wish him well with the new policies. I wish something like this. I call on Governor Newsom to embrace school choice, embrace my agenda.
Right,
I lost.
right.
Embrace for a common sense water policy. Get tough on crime. Get rid of defund the police stuff. Stop talking like that. Just reiterate his platform. Call on Governor Newsom to embrace it, which he won't.
Right.
And then wait. Just wait. Go back on the air.
Exactly.
Do your thing, and then announce. And go for it, because the big noose around his neck, around Newsom's neck, is going to be school choice. I guarantee you, if you did a poll on the left, and I mean you go far left, you're seeing a growing support for school choice. And he is not going to do that in a million years. Is he going to do it? And that's going to be, I believe, his undoing, because these kids, you see it, Jim, they're already behind. They're coming back. The test scores are coming in.
Tragic.
It's just tragic. So how do you fix that? By just keeping kids out even more?
So let me ask you a question that I was asked today. Do you think that if he wins tonight, that the governor's going to say, all right, you guys went against me, now you're going to get it, and that he is going to adopt the same type of thing that we're seeing coming from President Biden, as far as more mandates, and that he's going to feel emboldened to say, now I can do what I want to, and we're going to shut you guys back down again, without a doubt.
If he does that, I think he will suffer the same fate as Joe Biden will in 2024, except it's going to come earlier for him. I think as big as this is, I'm telling you, as big as this victory looks like it's going to be, I believe it's soft.
It's the second half.
But I believe the support is soft. It's hard to look at those numbers and think of it that way, but I really do believe that it's the number is huge right now, but the support is soft. You have a lot of people vote for him that come 2022 are not going to, if things stay the way they are. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let me get into these numbers. 56% reporting in, and it's 67-32, 5.1 million to keep Gavin Newsom, and 2.4. So it's probably double. It's double. So there's a sizable lead. And going back to what you were saying, I think you will see this as a mandate, because that's what when we would too. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if it were flipped, we would say Larry Elder has that mandate. No more masks, no more anything. And so I think that's Gavin Newsom is going to come out
But
strong.
if they're political minded and politically poisoned, and they've been in it so long, which he has been, he will look at it. If he's wise and he has some humility and some introspection,
We're talking about Gavin.
he's going to. Well, I'm just the guy is a survivor. He knows 2022 is coming up. What he doesn't want is a bloodbath. He wants a blowout in 2022. I think he knows. I think he believes what I'm saying. I've had conversations with him on stuff. When we were both mayors serving on committees for Schwarzenegger. He actually went against the grain on the homeless issue in San Francisco. He, at his best, he's a pragmatic politician. Now, that was a long time ago. And he's gotten addicted to politics. And when somebody gets addicted to it, it's a different animal than public service.
Let me ask you both this: Republicans, we're not. What I don't like is I don't see the second question, because everyone voted on the second question. Is it intentional that the media is keeping us out on what that second question would have been? So that's my first thing. My second thing is, okay, 2022. Hopefully, Larry Elder will come out. I'm gonna give you some backstory. Larry Elder will return to the airwaves if he loses. I know that for a fact. We have inside knowledge. He will return.
He's
to the
on
airwaves.
our network, and we're happy that's going to happen.
Oh yeah, he's gonna come back. The question is, do you think we shot ourselves in the foot by having so many Republican candidates? Does the California Republican Party need to step in and say, okay, look, we were all over the place here. We need to get behind one candidate. 2022 is coming around. Larry Elder, you seem to have the momentum. Should the Republican Party now step in? Because the Republican Party really didn't. They were hands off the recall.
When have they?
Yeah.
When have they?
Yeah.
When has the Republican Party got behind somebody?
There are shambles here
When
in California.
When
There are
have they?
shambles.
Do you think it matters?
I think at this point, no. And I think in all these elections that we've seen, at least here in this valley, the people that have won from this valley have not been
Such a good
embraced
point.
by the Republican Party.
Such a good
They've
point.
been shunned by the Republican Party.
And look, let's be real. You can't compare this to 2003. There's no way. Arnold Schwarzenegger had spent 3 decades getting to know the people and the people knowing him. People felt like they knew Arnold, and he had a vast, vast following. It's a whole Larry Elder, the people in the know. If you were a hardcore Republican and conservative, you knew Larry Elder. If you didn't know Larry Elder from Lee Elder, the golfer. A lot of people thought that's who it was running. No, seriously, I had to come to the gym. But now, as you said, Jim, if you look at this in its totality, and it's not wishful thinking or pie in the sky, you look at this, building this coalition that brought forth this recall, which is a diverse coalition. Majority Republicans, conservatives, yes, but enough concerned conservative Democrats and independents to build on. And then as we move over to 2022, people are going to get to know Larry Elder more. You're going to know he's not a spousal abuser. You're going to know that he's not some, maniac. He's a thoughtful, strong man that has respect for everyone.
Yeah.
And getting to know him,
I think it's going to change. Even rats will jump off of a sinking ship. And California is going down. If it continues its policies, we cannot sustain what we are doing. We're destroying the middle class. The tax base is leaving. I mean, again, just go down the list. There's going to come a point that people say enough's enough. Forget parties.
But the thing is, if you keep the cheese on the ship, the rats would probably sit there and eat the cheese. As long as you're giving people money for nothing in this state, you have what we're seeing.
But we can't
is the
continue to do
biggest
that.
welfare state within a state that this country has ever seen. It's like the equivalent of a third world country, and that's hard to break when you get dependency. And I think Jim was talking about that. That's the danger that you talk about every day on your show almost. The danger, what sounds so good, let me give you something for nothing.
Yeah.
Not knowing what that does to your soul. You can get addicted to it.
It's an addiction.
You know what I'm
free.
But when the dealer runs out of the drug, the addict will turn on him.
You know
in a
why they
second.
won't run out of the drug, though? because you know as well as I do. You need to go ahead and make.
Well, we're gonna go to the straight to the newsroom. Matt White has an update for us. Matt, go.
Kern County just dropped 55% in favor of the recall, so that's good early voting. That just dropped about less than a minute ago. Tulare just dropped as well. Again, a recall vote, and Kings County as well. All yes on the recall, which actually put us up a percentage or two there. It's still 67-33. Fresno could flip. It's about 53-46. So that it's quite interesting to see these, and pretty much kind of the typical red counties are voting in place. So, but I think there might be an error in Solano County, which says yes for the recall, which is historically blue at 69-30, and that's a yes. But that might be some calculation error, is what I've been hearing. So, but it's interesting to see.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, Matt White. Thank you so much, and feel free to let us know when you have another update. So it's the same dynamic. The Central Valley, of course, more conservative. And you got the
other California,
and then you have the other California. What I don't
let me tell you, if you're, this is an interesting. You break this down, and I think you're going to see a large number of people who turn out. I'll be Captain Obvious here. Are people who fear the Larry Elder's going to take away the giveaways. That this welfare state, they got to say, hey, this ain't much, Marge, but it's all we've got. We can't. Our schools have failed our children. They failed us. We're not equipped to have a job anyplace. We're scared to death of COVID. And here's a person willing to give us free money. And that's playing into this, the fear factor. An FBI technique that's used, and it's the most effective technique that they use in a hostage situation, is they'll do research on that hostage taker. And they'll go in and do biographies. They'll go back, they'll talk to friends, saying they get on the internet also. And they'll find out, the goal is to find out what that hostage taker is afraid of. Is it humiliation? Is it shame? Is it the family members, kids, what they think, whatever? If they can find out and dial in on what she's afraid of, he said they have a 95% rate of that hostage taker given up. And how they say it is, if you can find out what somebody's afraid of, you can get them to do just about anything. And that's the philosophy and the ideology of the left, and giving all these giveaways and the fear, the culture of fear in this state.
That's what I'm afraid of.
You hit it right on the money. All right, we're entering, and I just want to, and I'm not calling the race. That we don't do that here. We don't, but I just want to keep things into perspective. I think we're entering.
You're really sticking your neck out here on this one, Guillermo. Your honesty's at stake here now.
Captain
Obvious. Come on now. I love your optimism, man.
I want to remind everyone. In 2020, President Trump garnered 6 million votes. That was it. 6 million votes. We're at 2.5. Gavin Newsom is at 5.2 million already, with 58%. 11 million Democrats came out for Joe Biden. We're entering. I believe we're entering into that territory where we're just not going to come back. I mean, there's not. They get over that 6 million mark. There's just not enough. Even if you get the Trumpers out. We're entering territory, and we're not. It's not going to happen.
Well,
so
they say close.
We always count on Guillermo. We can always count on Captain Sunshine over there.
They say that close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, but I think also in a recall election such as this, it counts. Like you said, Jim, if you can close that gap and get it reasonable, that's cause for concern on the left, and that's what you want right now. You want to say, okay, this is just the warm-up act. 2022, you better be ready, because we're going to get organized, and you're going to have to go head-to-head with Larry Elder in debates. We've never seen them head-to-head.
Oh, gosh. Yeah,
he'll slice and dice him. Larry Elder will completely if it was a fight, they're going to call it. I guarantee you. All Newsom has is lies.
Let me ask you this last question before we got to go to commercial break here. Larry Elder has been such a gentleman. He has been a candidate that he has been viciously attacked. And I would say right equally with Trump. He's a sexist. He's a racist.
Oh, the black face of white supremacy, by the way.
Oh, my gosh. Did you see him when they threw an egg at him? The lady with the
gorilla mask.
Yeah, the gorilla mask.
Not a hate crime, though.
Not a hate crime. And did you see he was just cool, calm, collected. When he was here in Fresno, Pastor, and you spent some time with him, it seemed something was weighing heavy on him. I think it all hit him really quickly, like, whoa, this is happening. Is he gonna? You think he's gonna jump in? I think he's gotten his take. I mean, when I saw him, it was a different. He wasn't as I had expected he would have been.
Well, don't go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, you're onto something there, because when I ran for mayor, I thought I was ready for it because I'd been booed out of a lot of stadiums. I've been criticized in movies and all this stuff. And you think you're ready for it. But then it's not the stuff that you've done. Like my past, having taken drugs and this, I've never been in jail, don't have a record of it, but I have a record of it in my soul. And God saved me from that. And I felt it was my responsibility to share that story when I felt it could help somebody. Okay. But real naive, you don't know people are going to take that and twist it, add to it, make stuff up, and you and your family have to deal with that. If it was just you, Pastor deals with this because he stepped out from the pulpit and also been a leader in the political world. And he'll tell you he can take it, but your family, your kids. And I think you might be onto something, Guillermo, because once that happens, it feels different when they're going after your integrity and they're making up stuff that you were a spousal abuser and you hate women and you do all this stuff. Criticism never feels good, but it particularly bad when it's everywhere on Twitter now.
Yeah,
everywhere on Instagram.
Yeah.
So and it's something you have to take a step back and say, okay. And that's why when people come to me to ask, I don't know why they do that. I'm going to get Jim's line out before he asks me for advice to run. And Jim was, but when they do come from time to time, they're running for office, and I always ask them, why are you running? And if they say something like, well, I've always wanted to be in office. I've always thought I could be mayor. I've always had this interest. I say, don't run. And they look at me like, what? I said, it's too difficult. You're going to put yourself through hell and your family through hell. If you don't have a deep-seating calling from God to run, don't run.
Yeah.
Politics has always been tough, but it is brutal now. And Larry's going through that process, being a man of faith. So I don't know. He said he was going to run, but that was before all this stuff happened, and let's see.
I think you're going to see a fire in his belly. I can't wait to hear him back on the air.
No, me too.
So let me again talk about the second half. Is that we have never had a candidate that has the platform that Larry Elder has to immediately be able to address on a daily basis his constituents.
That's a
Don't
huge
you think
point.
these people here that voted that they are committed to this cause and they now have access to him? They don't have to wait for him to Twitter. They can listen to him 3 hours a day on this radio station and on the network throughout California. And do you not think that he is going to be the one that will hold Gavin Newsom accountable for what he has said that he would do? And he has the microphone to do it with.
That's a huge, huge point right there.
We got to take a quick commercial break, but it looks like CNN is, like Guillermo, Captain Obvious here, projecting that Newsom defeats recall.
You do
will
work
remain.
for CNN, don't you? You can get some stuff from them. They send you a T-shirt every now and then.
I'm good. Oh, man.
Don't grow weary. I'm out of here.
All right. Jim Franklin, thank you so much. Alan Autry as well.
Thank you, brother.
We'll be right back here on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
the most important financial.
All right, we got 1 minute.
Hey, Matt, you want to come in and give us the kind of where we're at?
I do.
Huh?
I said I don't want to, but I
know. Huh? Okay, that's okay. Thanks, man. Yeah. I know you don't want to, but we gotta. Oh, you're fine. Could you could grab me one of those waters? You can take the other one too if you like. Alan, you got it.
All right, we got 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Here we go. All right. We'll take Gavin when he speaks.
Just put him on your end, and
Okay.
I'll grab the feed.
So you grab it from ABC.
All right, so 10 seconds.
All right, here we go. You're gonna play the intro? Okay. Well, by all accounts, Gavin Newsom looks like he's headed to defeat the recall. He will be speaking soon, and we'll take you to his speech. I don't want to, but I have to. We're going to check into our own newsroom here. Let's go over to Matt White in the KXCX newsroom. Matt.
Yep, I think you're right on it. Don't have the best news, but it's still got the 67.3% to 32.7%. And yeah, it looks like most counties, there's only, I think, 3, or actually less than, it's 2 left of people that haven't even Mono County, and then I'm not even going to say that because I'm going to mispronounce it. But yeah,
Siskiyou.
Yeah, Siskiyou. There we go. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I practiced it, but yeah. So
don't worry.
But yeah, everything's just leaning that Governor Newsom's going to survive the recall here. That's pretty much all the latest updates on that. Numbers are still trending high in the favor of the no and the recall. So.
Well, just in case there's bags of ballots that we drop off. But feel free to break in with some good news, but I don't think it's going to happen. Matt, thank you so much from the KXCX newsroom. We have in studio, he's joined us, Major Trustee Terry Sladek, USMC retired Major Trustee. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I wish it was under better circumstances, but nonetheless, it's still always a pleasure. And then Alan Autry.
Not quite always a pleasure, but most of the time a pleasure, right, Guillermo?
Sometimes. All the time.
Well, I'm looking at Alan right here, and I'm going...
That's tough to do.
Well, no. I'm saying, did the Packers call you for tryout next week because they had a bad week?
Hey, man, that was tough to watch.
You look like you did when you were in training camp the first time.
Yeah, I love you, brother.
You weigh the same right now.
Yeah, but the arm doesn't work as good.
Oh, okay, that's it.
The arm doesn't work as good.
Right. That's all right.
I'll let Aaron stay in the seat there.
Amazing.
You better start playing better, though. That was horrible.
I didn't watch it.
We spend the off season on Jeopardy, and then running all over, Dayton, and you doing this thing. You're not ready to face the New Orleans Saints' fearsome force. But you know what? Right now, I know enough about Larry Elder to know that Larry Elder is saying, "Keep your chin up.
Yep.
Smile, laugh. This is just the beginning."
Yes.
The best is yet to come.
Yeah, that's just who he is.
I mean, being the simple Marine that I am, I can't help but go, wait a minute, there's 2.5 million Californians that said, yes, get that guy out of there. Let's not lose sight of that. That's more people than signed the recall petitions.
It is. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No. So let's look for let's do our due diligence and our analysis. But 2.5 million, and that number is going to go up. It's going to be 3 million by the end of the night that said, get that guy out of there. So let's not lose sight of that.
Yeah, you're right. Let me ask you this: you've been on the battlefield, and
literally and figuratively.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, what would you tell? We've just been. You've never been defeated. You don't know how this feels, but what would you tell the California Republicans? What would you tell them? What's next? What do we do?
We got 2.5 to 3 million folks that said, get that guy out of Sacramento, end him. And it really probably should be a lot more. We probably could have had it be 4 million. Where are we going to get this? I can't speak. I'm a local political guy, not a statewide. But the facts, 2.5, 3 million, 3.5 million folks have said, get rid of this piece of trash who wants to go to the French Laundry while he's closing half the businesses up and down Blackstone Avenue. Yeah. It's that simple to me.
Amen to that. Alan?
Yeah, I just, again, I'm one of those guys that I was raised, you vote the person, not the party. So I'm an independent. I was Republican for a while, and when I left about 6-7 years ago, I didn't join the Democratic Party. I never joined a fraternity in college. All of them want me to, join. The group thing, I don't want to go deep into that. I'm an independent guy. I was raised that way. And, the people have spoken on this recall. I pull for Gavin Newsom to do this miraculous transformation and grow the leadership courage to say no to this far left agenda, start having respect for people's liberties, get behind school choice, get behind a common sense water policy for this state, to lower the taxes on businesses and individuals and families so you can see the economy turn around and get these businesses to stop leaving this state. I'm pulling for him to do that. Now, the chances of that, are probably as good as me naming my next child Osama and that happening. But it's, you're hopeful. I know that's a long shot, and he's probably, it seems ridiculous to even, but I do. Now, I'm ready to go on the offensive against him if he doesn't, and I think that's probably going to happen.
That was the brilliance that we all expect from Alan Autry in motivational, because any normal person, meaning except for Gavin Newsom, would take this as a message from 3 million people in California that you need to clean up your act, brother, and he would redeem himself. Now, does this man have that in his soul to do that? I'm quite skeptical. But your point is that a normal human being would sit there and say, we need to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious about the second question, right? I haven't seen anything. Who's
the early ones I saw was Cox.
Well,
in a lot of action.
Yeah, we've just this is just dropped here. Secretary of State is reporting Larry Elder 1.7 million, 42% on that second question. 42%, 1.7 million
for Larry Elder.
For Larry Elder.
Oh man,
yeah,
that's fantastic.
And his nearest competition would be the Democrat Kevin
Kiley.
Paffrath, the Democrat.
Okay.
He hasn't even broken $500,000.
Packrat.
Yes.
What? What'd you say?
I think that's what he said.
That's his name, man. You got to change that name, Packrat.
Oh boy,
I don't know how you got elected with that one, man.
I'll tell you what. We get. Let's get Gavin Newsom. He's on right now. He's addressing live. Yeah. Gavin Newsom.
It's on what we said yes to as a state. We said yes to science. We said yes to vaccines. We said yes to ending this pandemic. We said yes to people's right to vote without fear of fake fraud or voter suppression. We said yes to women's fundamental constitutional right to decide for herself what she does with her body, her fate and future. We said yes to diversity. We said yes to inclusion. We said yes to pluralism. We said yes to all those things that we hold dear as Californians, and I would argue as Americans: economic justice, social justice, racial justice, environmental justice, our values where California has made so much progress. All of those things were on the ballot this evening. And so I'm humbled and grateful to the millions and millions of Californians that exercise their fundamental right to vote and express themselves so overwhelmingly by rejecting the division, by rejecting the cynicism, by rejecting so much of the negativity that's defined our politics in this country over the course of so many years. I just think of our kids watching all of this, nightly news, day in and day out. And I just wonder, I've got 4 young kids. Oldest about to turn 12 this weekend. And what they're growing up to. In a world where we're so divided, these kids increasingly fearful, isolated, disconnected, and we're teaching them that. And it doesn't have to be that way. I think we owe our kids a deeper sense of respect, and all of us as adults, a responsibility to disregard this false separateness. We're so much more in common as a state and a nation that we give ourselves credit for. I've been all over the state of California over the last many years, but notably the last 9 months. conservative parts of the state, progressive parts of the state, folks that I know were going to vote no, and votes that I knew were going to vote yes on this recall, and turned out to do just that. But one thing that's universal, everybody wants to be respected. Everyone wants to feel some connection to one another. We all certainly in this pandemic want to feel safe, protected. Those are universal values. And I think about just in the last, few days, and the former president put out saying this election was rigged. Democracy is not a football. You don't throw it around. It's more like antique vase. You can drop it and smash it in a million different pieces. And that's what we're capable of doing if we don't stand up to meet the moment and push back. I said this many, many times on the campaign trail. We may have defeated Trump, but Trumpism is not dead in this country. The big lie, January 6th insurrection, all the voting suppression efforts that are happening all across this country, what's happening, the assault on fundamental rights, constitutionally protected rights of women and girls. It's a remarkable moment in our nation's history. But I'm reminded of something, a few decades ago, someone told me when describing a difficult and challenging moment, said, the world is too small, our time is too short, and our wisdom is too limited to win fleeting victories at other people's expenses. And he went on to say, we must all triumph together. So in that spirit of recognizing and reconciling this moment and trying to understand what's going on, not just here in this state, but all across the United States of America, I just want to say this. Tonight, I'm humbled, grateful, but resolved in the spirit of my political hero, Robert Kennedy, to make more gentle the life of this world. Thank you all very much, and thank you to 40 million Americans, 40 million Californians, and thank you for rejecting this recall. Good night, everybody.
Oh, there you have it, Governor Gavin Newsom. I don't know what are we talking about the. I don't know who wants to take it first before.
Let me jump in so that Alan could be erudite after I fail. After the first minute, and he starts blaming everything on Trump, it turned into Charlie Brown's teacher for me. Wah, 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 wah. You're too young for that, but Alan gets this one. And I can't. Does this guy actually believe the crap coming out of his mouth? I will turn it over and let Alan be erudite now.
No, it's just, yeah. No, you only get certain amount in a person's life, a certain amount of special moments where you have a chance to do something really, really great. And you can't get that moment back. You could tell this man desperately wanted to stay in office, would do and say anything. The thought of losing a political election is worse than death to him. You could see it on his face. And as Major said, he had a chance to truly start a new era here in California and become a real leader. But he had to go there. On one hand, you're talking about bringing people together and respect and what your kids see. As if when you turn that turret to the Trumps, as if Trump supporters don't have kids that are listening to this. They don't have children. And you basically just paint those folks that hold, the values that Trump came into office with. I didn't agree with I still don't how he conducts himself sometimes. But to think that low taxes, strong national defense, right to life, non-burdensome taxation, as I said, is something that Trump came up with is totally erroneous. That if you get rid of Trump, then all these minds would not be poisoned. You could reprogram them out of it and become pro-choice, high taxation, CRT-loving robots. here. And that's their mistake. He first step in the election of 2022 was taken by Gavin Newsom just now, and he opened himself up. Now, all of those principles now, is that going to put out the fires? It's Sequoia that's going towards North Fork. Is that going to get one kid educated? Is that going to keep one kid safe from COVID? Is that going to keep one job here in California? Not one. It was all about him.
No, for sure.
And real leaders don't make that mistake.
He's very self-conscious. He was very self-conscious, and
it was about him.
And leaders don't
make it about
ever do that. And that was the perfect. Thank you, Alan. That was exactly what I was expecting from you. And I would only edit one minuscule phrase.
What?
You said they painted. It's just the Trump side and their children and all this. I would say they tarred and feathered and painted them with tar and feathered.
Absolutely.
It wasn't just paint. It was a nasty thing he did.
Well, I don't know what California he was talking about, because I mean, he came out and said they said yes to this, they said yes to this, they said yes, and that's a dig at us because we voted yes to get him out. That's number one. The second thing is he said they rejected division, they rejected the negativity, and I thought to myself, what do you? Nobody went negative on. I mean, the attacks that he and his establishment spawned against Larry Elder, racist, sexist, Trumpian. He might be black, but he's really controlled by white people. I mean, you. Negative. What are you talking about?
Unbelievable.
That he was, and then he says Californians just want to be safe and protected. What? You're not making them safe and protected. He totally flipped the switch. It's like, wait a minute, is it Opposites Day? Because you're talking like us. What are you talking about?
Guillermo, let me ask you, what out of $70 million spent by the Democratic machine, what? Name me $1 that went towards an issue here in the state of California. If you look at it, it was $70 million spent to scare the living crap out of Californians, to just scare them to death in every aspect, from COVID to take away your personal rights as a woman, all of these macro issues. And they spent $70 million, had the sitting president come here to scare the living daylights out of everybody, had the former president of the United States doing commercials, had the vice president come out here, all to perpetuate and peddle fear. And you know what? They bought it.
Yeah.
The majority bought it.
Yeah. They bought it for sure.
Yeah.
They bought it for sure.
Now, I'm not down by this.
No.
This is a start, and it's going to be a long war to get it back because it took us a long time to get to where we're at. So let's all take that. And I'm the guy in the local trenches hooking and jabbing. And, you know, I would be remiss as a school board trustee to not point out the word safety came up several times in the last couple minutes. Y'all are both taxpayers in Fresno County. Do you know that there were two of our high schools in Fresno Unified had guns on campuses last week?
I didn't know that.
They covered.
Doesn't surprise me.
No, absolutely doesn't surprise me in the slightest. But you don't know about it because they cover up the living daylights out of this. And one of the aberrations that's the first time since I've been on the school board that I haven't seen, and we've seen a number of guns, don't get me wrong, but this first one was 2 in a week. And it was the first time, Alan, where one had a spare clip, enough for a reload and keep going. And that one, as a firearms guy, that one jumps out at me. It's like, oh, he really wanted to have a big day. So everyone out there, the safety, and we're not getting it from Sacramento. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, when we come back, I want to find some positives, and I want to get back with Matt in our newsroom. But I think early on, I saw some pretty positives out of the Central Valley, especially with Fresno County. Fresno County is a special place. Obviously, it's where we live. Fresno County, the Central Valley. I firmly believe that if we look at some of the data here locally, I think people here are not representative of California tonight. And I think it's actually a lot closer than 70-30 here in Fresno. I mean, you're looking at 50-48 at the end of the day. So I think the revolution starts, and I think it's going to start in the Central Valley. I think that's where it's going to start. We'll be right back here on the best talk in town, Talk Radio 1550 KXDX.
And that's why I love my job.
Stronger than ever.
It's important that we remember the story correctly.
A smart start to the day